Please like and subscribe. Reality shift. Charlie Maine collapsed. He was exhausted, gasping for breath. He couldn't run another step. He currently found himself in the middle of Normal's town square. The autumn wind had a slight bite to it. Winter wasn't far off. No one was around, the area void of life. It was easily noon, but everywhere he looked there was just emptiness. He hadn't meant to kill Danny, but he just couldn't take the bullying anymore. The threats, the gut punches, the tripping, it was only getting worse, and no one had done anything to stop it. Other students just laughed or ignored it. The school had punished Danny a number of times with detentions and suspension, but it only made things worse when he came back. So Charlie made it stop. He had the gift to make his drawings come to life. He had drawn Capitan Hero as someone who would protect the weak and help others. But reality isn't like the movies. While Charlie could make what he drew real, the things he created were nothing more than mindless puppets. He had full control, and the moment he stopped focusing on them, they would cease to exist, vanishing into nothing. Charlie had created Capitan Hero with super strength, but Charlie had underestimated just how strong Captain Hero was. Lost in vengeance, Charlie's Captain Hero smashed in Danny's face and crushed his skull and brain alike. Danny was dead on impact. Charlie was so shocked by what he had done, he didn't realize how powerful his manifestations were. He got scared and ran. He just kept running from Danny, from the school, from everyone. He just kept running. "Hello, Charlie," said a man's voice from behind him. Charlie jerked around, shocked to see someone in the empty street. He saw a well-dressed man, average height around 30 years old. He was wearing a tailored blue suite and glasses. "Who are you?" Charlie asked. The man smiled. Charlie took a step back. The man seemed off. He extended his hand out for a shake. "I'm Dr. Nigel Smith," he said. "I'm here to help you." Charlie didn't take his hand. He didn't know why, but his brain was screaming at him to run. Hadn't he already been doing that? He was tired. He grabbed his head as he felt a surge of pain, like a brain freeze. He knelt over and groaned. After a moment passed, the pain alleviated itself. When he looked up, he was in an office. Dr. Smith's office, his psychiatry office. He was at his appointment? Dr. Smith stood before him. "Are you all right, Charlie? Hypnosis can affect people differently?" Charlie shook his head. He felt better, but still off. Had it all been a dream, a hallucination? Had he not killed anyone? "I'm fine," said Charlie, standing up with a start. "I need to go." He rushed to the office door and stepped outside. The walls were white, the floor tiled, and everything was sterilized. He was in light blue patient scrubs, first the school, then town, now here. It was jarring and Charlie couldn't keep up. "Hello, Charlie. Are you ready to go back to your room?" asked a nurse. "My room?" Charlie asked, confused. "I just want to go home." The nurse offered a sad smile. "Charlie, you know that's not possible. Follow me." She turned and started walking down the hall. As they made their way through the common room, he noticed other patients. He noticed 2 of them were his best friends. Others were people from around the town of Normal. The nurse taking him back to his room, he realized she was familiar too. She was the actress Rachel Vault, who played a nurse on the crime drama Hospital Homicide. Charlie, thinking quickly, dove into a side room and found himself in his own bedroom. He reflexively locked his door. He stepped back and looked at himself in his door mirror. He was back in his regular black hoodie with a cartoon skull on it and black jeans. "Charlie," said a girl's voice. He turned and saw Kimmy, his girlfriend. No, his ex-girlfriend. She had moved last year for college. She was a year older. It was just a summer fling, and they didn't want to do long distance. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. He didn't mean to sound angry, but he felt like he was losing his mind. She didn't react to his tone. She just opened up her arms. "Hug?" she asked. Again, that brain freeze feeling hit him. Charlie screamed. Kimmy took a step closer. "Hug?" she asked again. Charlie realized she was smiling, the same way Dr. Nigel was smiling. He flung open his bedroom door and ran outside. Wait, hadn't he locked the door? How had he just thrown it open? He was now standing in a bank of snow in his front yard. How was it already winter? He turned back around, and he was in the meat freezer at work, Hank's Hamburgers. He was in his work uniform. He went to the freezer door when Danny's face appeared in the window. It was bloody and mashed up. Charlie screamed and fell backwards onto the floor. "You killed me, loser. Now you get to die in there," said Danny's muffled voice. Despite having a broken face, Danny's jaw seemed to work fine, as did his enunciation. Charlie hugged his legs to his chest. What was going on? Was he having a mental breakdown? None of this made any sense. The freezer door opened and there stood his boss, Hank. He was in a white button shirt and brown slacks. He offered out his hand, a warm smile on his face. "There you are, Charlie. Let me help you." Charlie was already scooting away on the floor. Hank's smile, it was wrong. First off, Hank wasn't much for smiling. Second, it was the same smile he'd already seen twice today. "Get away," Charlie yelled. He wrapped his hands around his head and closed his eyes. He started to feel himself hyperventilate when he heard a female voice this time. "Charlie." He looked up to find himself in the Normal City Library. The summer sun was shining in through the windows. He was sitting at a table with books, but the wording was disjointed and unlegible. "Charlie," said a woman's voice again. He turned to see a lady in her 30s. She was dressed in a green blouse and blue jeans with shoulder-length brown hair. Unlike before, Charlie felt a strange sense of calm, like his mind wasn't trying to reject whoever this was before him. "Who are you?" asked Charlie. The woman smiled, a genuine warm smile. It matched her face and brightened her blue eyes. "My name is Misty Day. I work for the Salt Lake City Order. I'm here tracking a bad man who escaped from prison." "Okay," said Charlie. "What does that have to do with me?" Misty took a breath and sat down kitty-corner to him. "His name is Dr. Nigel Smith." Charlie jumped up from his seat. "Dr. Smith? That's the guy who keeps trying to help me, because I killed someone. Well, I think I killed someone." Misty shook her head vehemently. "Charlie, you didn't hurt or kill anyone. We're in a dream, and Dr. Smith isn't trying to help you. He's trying to control you, to possess you." Charlie froze, then fell back into his chair. He was silent for a moment before he looked at Misty. "What?" "Dr. Smith is a gifted who can bend reality. I've kept him prisoner in his own body for months, a telepathic-induced coma." Charlie nodded. It would seem he retained some awareness of his self and the world around him. A look of frustration crossed Misty's face. "A serious oversight on my part." "But what does he want with me?" asked Charlie. "He can change and distort reality around him," explained Misty. "Absorb other gifted's powers and abilities once he establishes a link to them. My guess is that he could do the same with your gift, and be free of his body as well." "Well, can't you get him out of my head yourself?" Charlie asked. "You said you're telepathic." "I could attempt to force him out," Misty said, "but that may cause damage to your own psyche, as this is your brain." Concern was clearly written on her face, and Charlie matched it in kind. He had no desire to damage his brain. "Wait, how are you in my mind, too? Are you close by?" asked Charlie. "No. Normally I wouldn't be able to extend my telepathic ability this far, but Dr. Smith's link permits me to extend my gift further than what I'm normally capable of," said Misty. "It would be much easier to protect you if we were in the same room physically." Charlie thought silently for a moment, then laughed at the absurdity of that, as they were actually inside his head after all. "Can I hurt him?" asked Charlie. "Or because this is all just a dream or something, will nothing happen to him?" Misty smiled. "This is your mind. You are in full control here." Charlie wasn't so sure about that. He keeps shifting things, changing them from moment to moment. He also keeps trying to grab my hand or hug me. Charlie felt a wave of calm wash over him. "Breathe," Misty said. "Just like in dreams, your mind is switching from place to place. It's also acting as an internal defense to hide yourself from Nigel," Misty said. "All he is doing is tracking you down and interjecting himself in small ways to match the environment your mind creates. Nothing more." "And the touching thing?" asked Charlie. "I believe that's how he would be able to establish control, or at least start to," said Misty. "By you allowing him to touch you in this dream world, it's like you're giving him consent to fully step into your mind." You said you're in the same room as him. Can't you just make him stop?" asked Charlie. Misty shook her head. "If I could, I would. But the issue is that he's detached his conscious mind from himself, while his lower brain is still keeping him alive." "Couldn't you turn his lower brain off?" Charlie asked. "Yes, but that would put us in an even worse predicament," Misty said, "because his consciousness would have nowhere to return to. I would end up trapping him here with you." Charlie's body shivered at the very thought of that. "Every time he tries to touch me, I get a brain freeze." "Your mind recognizes that Nigel is an intruder. It's protecting you from him as best it can," said Misty. "But on a subconscious level. Now that you are consciously aware of this presence and the threat he creates, you can be more proactive in removing him." "How did he pick me?" asked Charlie. "Your powers of bending reality are parallel to each other," said Misty. "I believe he's taking advantage of that similarity." "How do you know what I can do?" asked Charlie. "I'm in your memory bank. I was reading up. I didn't delve deeper than I needed to understand why Nigel was after you," said Misty assuredly. "Mostly surface thoughts. Honestly, your current dream was very enlightening." Charlie nodded. He didn't know why. He trusted her. She seemed sincere. Sure, she could have been lying or tricking him, but if she was telepathic, as she claimed, if she wanted to hurt him, it was unlikely he would be able to stop her. So why play this game of caring if she didn't actually want to help? How do we get him out of my head? Misty got a glint in her eye as she said, "I have an idea." Dr. Nigel Smith had lost Charlie again. He was getting tired of this cat-and-mouse game. It should have been a simple matter establishing a link and then control. Offer the boy help. He resisted. Offer the boy comfort. He resisted. Confuse and disorient. He resisted. Charlie's subconscious mind fighting him at every turn. By now, that bitch, Misty, had no doubt realized something was off. His electroencephalogram beeping consistently to alert of deficient brain activity. Charlie had been a proverbial needle in a haystack. His ability to bend reality by making anything he drew capable of entering the real world was in itself a weaker version of Nigel's ability to bend anything within reality itself. But the powers were parallel enough that Nigel could easily gain control of them. More importantly, he could manifest a makeshift army of monsters to help break himself out of prison, which would then allow him to not only return to his own body, but acquire a new ability as well. The first of many. But he had to find Charlie. While he had hoped to obtain control through a willing participant, it was obvious he would have you exact mental control by force, a literal battle of the minds. Nigel didn't question his success, especially over a hormonal teenage boy, who was no doubt only concerned with one thing. But such an approach could be risky. Such strain on someone's mental psyche could cause irreparable damage. And as Charlie's gift correlated to his cognitive function and focus, Nigel was potentially risking his use of the boy's powers once he gained control. But that was a risk he was willing to take. "Dr. Nigel," Charlie called. Nigel scowled. The boy intentionally seeking him out after resisting him for so long wasn't a good sign, but it did make his next move easier. Nigel allowed himself to be mentally carried to Charlie's current location within the dreamscape, finding himself in a library. How fitting. No doubt a sanctuary of memories. "I know you're trapped in my head. I want you out," Charlie's voice echoed around the library. Nigel rolled his eyes. "Child, please, I tried to do this the easy way. But if you insist on being difficult, I have no issues forcing my way in." "I said get out." Charlie's voice boomed around the library, causing a cacophony vibration. Books tumbled from the shelves and some of the windows cracked. Nigel extracted his own will outward, searching for even the smallest amount of conscious thought. Something he could attach his power to and force Charlie to manifest before him. It didn't take him long. Nigel smiled and yanked Charlie before him. Charlie's expression was shocked, eyes wide and mouth agape, but he recovered quickly. He focused his will and began to push Nigel from his mind. Nigel, with years of experience, rebuffed Charlie's pathetic attempt at dislodging the foothold he'd already established. He waved his hand and parallelized the boy where he stood. "Honestly, I expected more of a fight," said Nigel. "I'm a bit disappointed. You resisted me so much better in the beginning, yet here before me now you crumble like a house of cards." Out of the corner of his eye, Nigel noticed Misty and brought up a mental shield as he rebuffed her psychic assault. Had he not anticipated the attack, it would have left him incapacitated. He turned fully facing his soon-to-be former warden, taking note of the permanent scowl etched upon her face whenever she looked upon him. Oh, how he would enjoy wiping that look of disdain and disgust from her when he killed her. Nigel's smile deepened as he directed a wave of his own energy back at her. While not a true psychic himself, by fully implanting his consciousness into Charlie's mind, he could manipulate his reality distortion in a similar fashion, even if he lacked total control of Charlie himself. Nigel's rakish laughter filled the library as his reality distortion washed over Misty. She crumbled to the ground, overcome with nausea, as her equilibrium was fully discombobulated. Nigel considered trapping her here, but realized once he gained control over Charlie, he could combine both Charlie's willpower and his own and eject Misty from their mind with but a thought. But not before he tortured her first, of course. Repaid her for the mercy she had shown him. Nigel sent another wave of his distortion over Misty to rebuff her recovery, then turned back to Charlie, who was still held in place. "I wanted to do this the easy way, but sacrifices must be made for the greater good," said Nigel. Nigel extended his hand, placing it upon Charlie's shoulder. The mental wall preventing him full access to Charlie's will dissolved into nothing. Nigel allowed himself a small moment of victory. The boy had been all bluster with no follow-through. Nothing was stopping Nigel from... A sickening realization washed over him. While he was now fully inside Charlie's mind, he felt a strange disconnect, as if he wasn't a part of Charlie's mind at all. Upon further reflection, he realized the mind he now resided in was a cold vault of inescapable emptiness. He opened his eyes to find that he wasn't touching Charlie, but Misty. Misty, who offered a genuine smile. Nigel snarled and pulled himself free. He turned to the other Misty who had attacked him, only to realize they were just an elaborate doodle given life, a puppet whose strings he'd cut. "No," Nigel snarled. Not this time he'd prepared for such treachery. He yanked his subconscious mind free from his body, the last tether holding him to himself. "Are you insane?" yelled Misty. "I won't let you trap yourself here." Nigel laughed. "Stupid woman, do you think I actually allow myself to be trapped again after months lost in my own mind?" "Leave," said Charlie, his face defiant. Nigel and Misty turned to the main entrance of the library, where Charlie now stood. Nigel reflexively made to move towards Charlie, but was concussed by a flying book. He looked and noticed a number of books floated about the library ready to strike. Nigel stopped from moving forward. He could feel the pressure of Misty trying to enter his mind, but the problem was that his physical mind was still in his body. He was now merely an idea held together by his own power. Misty had nothing to link herself to. Nigel had been the anchor for Misty to remain here. No doubt her link was unraveling even now. But in activating his fail-safe plan, Nigel had little time and power to spare. He would have to wait on his revenge. "The next time we meet, I will kill you," said Nigel. Pure certainty resonated in his tone before he vanished into a pocket of space of his own creation. Misty was unfazed. Nigel was hardly the first person to threaten her in this line of work. He wouldn't be the last. "Did we win? Is he gone?" Charlie asked, his tone blending fear and hope perfectly. Charlie was fine. Nigel had removed himself entirely from the boy's mind. Misty had visited normal herself and done a full mental sweep to verify it. She also helped Charlie with his bully problem. Danny got a very clear understanding regarding the consequences of his actions and what awaited him if he failed to better himself and his aggressive actions towards others. As for Nigel, he was simply gone. But Misty knew better. While his body had been cremated to make certain he wouldn't return, it offered no comfort. Nigel was intelligent. He wouldn't simply sacrifice himself, even to escape her. But where did he go? Logically, he must have done something related to his ability to manipulate reality. But what? Misty believed he had manifested himself into an alternate reality or space. but such a creation would be taxing even for his abilities. She didn't doubt Nigel had linked himself to this reality in some way in order to maintain his own existence, and it would be that link that should allow her to track him down, eventually.